Hello and welcome back to Movie Husbands. Today we're taking a virtual trip to Sundance to talk about Shayda. In Noora Niasari's debut film, Shayda is an Iranian woman living in Australia who finds refuge in a women's shelter with her frightened 6-year-old daughter. Having fled her husband and filed for divorce, Shayda struggles to maintain normalcy for Mona, her 6-year-old daughter. So Matt, what did you think of Shayda?
I really enjoyed this film. I think this is a wonderful, powerful story about so many different things, and I think that's what makes it such a great movie. It is about the resilience of motherhood in face of some very difficult situations in life. It's about a mother's relationship to her daughter, which is very beautifully shown in this movie. The way that she has to grapple with culture in Iranian society and how difficult it is for her to leave a man that is abusing her, I found that very interesting part of the film. But that's what also just made the film so great, was just the amount of things that this film is dealing with and grappling with, and how it handles all these things so well, fits them in a way that each one gets the attention it deserves, and there's so much to be said for what we see on screen.
So I've noticed this a lot with Sundance films. This is the first time that I've participated in Sundance in any regard. I have always tracked the Sundance Film Festival and what is buzzed about, and then watched the films when they were released. And something that I've noticed with a lot of films from Sundance is you're dealing with a lot of debut features, you're dealing with a lot of first-time directors, and many times directors will stay with a certain established structure because they have to master that structure before they can subvert it, right? Sometimes they have to take that structure and they subvert it too quickly and they don't have quite the acumen to do it yet. This film kind of has a structure that I think is similar to a lot of independent films where you're just plunged into the conflict and you have to fend for yourself and find out what's going on as these details are gradually revealed. And then in the second hour, the tension is ratcheted up, things start happening, and the film accelerates in a certain way. What I've always found with Sundance films and independent films is that the talent and craftsmanship of the director and the performances really are everything, because a lot of times they're movies that you've seen before, and to some degree we've seen this movie before. Maybe not with these exact details, maybe not with an Iranian woman, but we have seen films about abused wives who are escaping and trying to make a life for themselves and restraining a lot of emotion while mothering their child, who's also just as much of a victim of abuse as they are. What really separates this film, as I said before, is the filmmaking craft, which I think is quite good here. Again, these are filmmaking tactics that you've seen before, but they're done really, really well. And the performances, which are just terrific. If you imagine this film being acted by, say, high school actors in a High School Musical or something, it wouldn't work at all, right? Because so much is being asked of these actors, so much subtlety, so much public conviction to go with their more private, emotional moments. There's just a lot being asked of the performers, and they're quite good at it.
All right, so I have a few things I want to go over in light of what you just said, because that was kind of a hodgepodge of stuff, but a lot of great stuff that triggered a lot of things in my mind. And one particular is Zar Amir Ebrahimi. I hope I pronounced that right. I apologize if I have not. And she plays Shayda, the mother in this movie, that is grappling with this situation. She is fantastic in this movie because she has to carry the film in terms of its lighthearted moments, its deep moments. There's these very intimate moments of just looking at her where you get a perception of the struggle that she's dealing with. Yeah. Internal things that she is not verbally saying, but you can feel it and you know that she's struggling.
Especially when she's alone, yeah.
It's just whether she's looking out of a window or she sees a bird. These things have a very profound impact on our perception of her as a character. And she plays that with such ease. Reading up on her, because I am not familiar with her as an actress, I found out that she just won Best Actress for a film in Cannes Festival.
Yeah, a film called The Holy Spider that I would absolutely love to see, but nobody seems to ever want to release movies. So, yes, whenever Holy Spider is available, I can't wait to see it.
It leads into another thing that I was thinking about, which was just how beautiful the details are woven into this movie and how important they are. For example, there's a song about a bird that comes back in different ways. There's this beautiful thing about necklaces. It's so interesting how nothing has to be said about these necklaces, but one is almost born out of honesty and love, and the other one is born out of manipulation. Yeah. She didn't have to express any of these things in words or dialogue, but the visuals were something that just created these feelings about these objects or these phrases or these songs that just made it so, especially towards the end of the movie, just so poignant in a certain way.
Yeah, and this is really the wonders of independent filmmaking. It's like, what tools do we have that we can use that have a really emotional effect? Because we're working with a really small amount of money. We're looking for a distributor. We're going to try to be shown at film festivals. This film does all of that really perfectly.
Going into the filming of this movie itself and the cinematography, it's playing with a very shallow depth of field. There's always a blurred out background. The character's face is very well pronounced. What was so great about that is that it played well for both aspects of this film. These loving, connecting qualities between her as a mother and her daughter. You feel warmth and loved by the camera being so close and the background blurred out, like it's almost just them two in their own little world together. And then on the other hand, that type of image plays itself very differently in the moments where she's stressed and dealing with her ex-husband, because she almost looks and seems very claustrophobic by the camera. So I found how this style of filmmaking, while it was similar throughout the entire movie, held such profound differences depending on the situation and the scene.
So this is a little bit of a tangent, but this makes me realize what a sham the Oscars is, because at some point we just decide, like, these 10 or 15 actresses are in this group is going to be the 5 that are going to be nominated, right? But I watched this performance, and maybe with the exception of Cate Blanchett, I said, this is just as good as every other Best Actress performance that I saw this year that's nominated for the Oscars. I mean, it's hard to say at this point. I doubt that it will get enough buzz the end of next year for us to be able to say that she's going to be nominated for Best Actress, but her performance is as finely tuned as all of those performances. And it's, I don't know. I mean, I wish we had some other way of honoring her. Maybe we do, but she's just extraordinary in this film.
And since we just talked about Shayda and the actress that plays her, I do want to talk about the actress that plays Mona, Selena Sahidnia. I apologize if I'm getting that wrong again. She plays Shayda's daughter, and she is just fantastic in this role. She plays this role so close to her chest, in which there are so many things you have to pick out just by visually looking at her. Moments where she's very uncomfortable, or moments where she's happy in a certain way, and also these moments of great conflict where she's being torn between her mom and her dad. At the beginning of the movie, there is this little bit of misunderstanding of why her parents aren't with each other, trying to figure out how to balance what they're both asking of her, because they have little things that they're asking not to tell the other parent, things like that. And I think we both come from divorced parents,
Yeah,
so
we relate, yeah.
we certainly can relate to that.
So you ready to go to grades?
I am ready to go to grades. I give Shayda an A-. I absolutely love this movie. I look forward to see how it progresses once it's released. I hope people go out to see it. It's a wonderful expression of a relationship between a mother and a daughter. It's a very important personal story about dealing with abuse, learning to overcome these things and not necessarily completely leave them behind, but learning to walk your own life regardless of how they might still impact your life going forward. I think that's a very important theme of this movie. That's just, again, one of the things I just love so much about it, is that there was so much built into it and so much wonderful things that just tied together so beautifully by the end of the movie. And the ending was just on point. I absolutely loved the ending.
Yeah, I'm going to give this film an A-, and to kind of go off what you were saying, I love the ending as well. I am a sucker for certain types of endings. I'm not going to say where this film ends, but I think the type of ending it is kind of a sudden cut, but it's done so in a way that is really poignant and I think just really exemplary of how talented this director is. I was really enamored with this film. I know that we're only 3 weeks into 2023, but it really wouldn't shock me if this ended up on my year-end list, or if maybe it was on the honorable mentions, because I like this just as much as many of the films that I put on my list that we just did for 2022. I'm really glad that we watched this. I'm glad we sought it out. I saw that it won the Audience Award for World Cinema at Sundance, so that's awesome. I hope that this film is just praised when it comes out and does really well and is acclaimed. And that's it for our review of Shayda. Were you able to check out Shayda at Sundance? If not, please check it out when it's released and let us know what you think in the comments. As always, thank you for watching, and we will see you next time.